All right. Hello and welcome to One on One. My name is Titilayo Oyinson. It's a pleasure once again being here with you, streaming live with you. And thank you for joining us each and every week. Podcast One on One is a podcast where we bring you inspiring conversations with leaders, change makers, visionaries from various industries that don't get the chance to go live or talk about their issues as much as we hope they would. My name is Titilayo Insan. It's a pleasure being here with you once again. I will be doing what I can to dig into a particular matter one more time today. Now, when it comes to um, writing articles, I've been encouraged many times to get writing, to put my thoughts down, to put pen to paper. And yeah, whenever I meet or speak with people who have actually done it and have done it very well, it is a source of joy for me. It's a source of pride for me, especially when they are from Nigeria. Now, social media content creators and the monetization mindset is a topic for discussion today. And I'm going to be having this opportunity to dig in at the heart of this digital age between creativity, commerce, and connection. As social media continues to reshape the way we interact with the world and each other, of course, even more importantly, each other, does find themselves walking a fine line between being authentic and making money. Our guest today has explored this intersection with her thought provoking article called The Monetization Mindset: Social Media Content Creators and Relationships. Now, it was published in Business AM, which is a really interesting paper. And if I can show you or share with you some of her thoughts here, you'll understand the reason why I thought it was very interesting to have this discussion. Now, she talks about it from angle. She, she says here the monetization mindset seems to have turned social media platforms red hot as the business of content creation is fast becoming a new gold mine in this era, with many different people, young and elderly, turning to content creators and social media entrepreneurs overnight. This booming new business has bamboozled its way into society, opening many doors, creating many opportunities without not with scruples, without scruples. And that's where I'm going to pause on those thoughts, because we have the writer of this particular article already here with us. Hello, Lilian Chudey Pride. You're welcome, ma'am.
Hello, Titi. So good seeing you and being here with you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, your article is an apt one. It's one that I believe was uh, well written and well overdue. And I have to ask where your mind was going when you decided to, put these thoughts down, and who exactly you were targeting when you were writing. Just let us in. Let us into how this all began.
Yeah, thank you very much for that wonderful question. My mind was screaming as hot as as the social media when I was putting these thoughts together. Actually, my focus was and still is our youth, one, and the elderly. My focus was on these two categories of people, not even the ones in the middle, but these younger ones and the elderly ones. Why? Because the path they have taken, the social media path they have taken, if you read down somewhere, you will see where I talked about them calling themselves entrepreneurs. So my thought went to this very part of it, my fear for this type of entrepreneurship they've taken, drove my thoughts so wild that I decided to look into this article, and I did it just like that.
So, it's one thing to have thought about it, there's another thing to put pen to paper, because they do seem to be running the world right now. The
Yeah.
wrong word or comment from an influencer now could make or mar a business, for instance, and eventually give them more viewership and more clicks and more followers. And then in turn, some people's businesses have been run down just by bad reviews from certain content creators, for instance. So it is kind of risky once you have a targeted article such as this. Did you ever have any thoughts around this area?
Yes, I did. You see, it's fast becoming a world where everything we do has to be derived from influencers or these content creators. Our style has to come from them. Even our thought patterns are shifting, fast shifting towards what an influencer says or what a content creator has said. So I see an epidemic coming actually, and I'm trying to kind of use my few words to bring people back from this epidemic. If we can handle it, if we can curb it from now, by shifting attention from what content creators are saying or what influencers are saying, or having a dependency on what they are saying, if we'll be able to curb it a little bit and at least listen to ourselves also to know what we are saying, what is coming out from our inner being, and what it was before. We kind of find a balance where we marry these two generations.
In terms of talking about generations, I don't even want to even touch on comparing the millennial to the Gen Z, and of course to the Gen Alpha. If we start that conversation, we might not finish it this evening. But there are some terms you highlighted. You talked about morality, you talked about decency, decorum in your article. You also touched on this mindset shift. Apologies, apologies for that. I'm not sure if you could hear that sound. All right. So you also talked a bit about monetize, convert, and leverage. Monetization, converting, and leveraging. Those are some big words that are affecting the way people conduct themselves online. Goodness me, online. And it is also the reason why they are calling themselves entrepreneurs, because yes, entrepreneurs monetize, they convert, and they leverage. So please let us into your angle in that particular paragraph, and what were you hoping to achieve by sharing?
Okay, it's a situation where we kind of leverage everything, a situation where we kind of monetize everything. I think it's not healthy. It's not healthy because if you look at that critically too, you will see that I was making mention of families now leveraging the opportunity of the youth. Let's take, for instance, the youth in their homes who are their children. You've worked so hard, you've sent them to school, and now you are leveraging that opportunity of their technology mindset, and everything is like gain, gain, gain. I don't see any authenticity. I don't see anything organic about those terms as it refers to this group of people now, the content creators or the influencers, because everything is about gain. What can I gain from here? Like, okay, I'm leveraging the opportunity of being in a group, maybe my old girls. So I leverage the opportunity of being in that group, then I am selling everything. Every discussion centers around what I am selling. The authenticity of that friendship, what it was, is kind of eroding if we don't take time. The same way it's going to affect the homes as well. If we leverage everything and point everything to the gain, monetary gain we're going to be making from this relationship, there is not going to be anything real about it anymore. So people are going to be skeptical when they are about forming friendships or entering into groups, for instance.
I kind of feel like people were already a bit skeptical even before social media came about. And in terms of it being organic, I completely understand where you're coming from. For instance, there was recently that skit of a family at the airport where apparently or allegedly there was a ripped passport in the mix somewhere. Nobody really knew who ripped it. We just saw pieces of ripped passport on the ground. And the caption essentially said, that it was the wife that ripped her husband's passport. And later on, it turned out it was a skit. I think there were so many debates on that particular topic on domestic issues, domestic violence, and what if it was the man that had violently abused the woman, and this, that. It brought up a lot of different conversations. And it was considered a skit or a fake scenario. And it must have gotten millions of views because I know how many times I saw it pop up on different timelines. But in the end, some of these platforms are encouraging the monetization process. They're encouraging people to create this content that creates a buzz, that creates conversations like that your mom and your auntie will talk about in the family WhatsApp group, your church group will talk about, your estate group will talk about. So where is the fine line? Where do we draw the line with regards creating these scenarios? Because is there any difference between what is happening in Nollywood, for instance, and what is now happening online? Is there any difference?
Well, in some cases, yes. In some cases, too, no. Okay, let me break it down this way. Like this very whatever skit. Let's just say it's a skit, but honestly, I don't believe it's a skit. Let's just say it is. This is one of my fears. Because of this mindset, people don't know what is real and what is not real. People don't know when somebody is in real danger. The moment they put that content out, somebody can easily come out to say it is a skit. But in the real sense, somebody is in real danger and needs real and urgent help. But because of this skit world now that we are living in, you can just turn a dire situation into a skit. You can just decide to call it a skit. So it becomes a very big problem. So you don't know when to come in, when counselors should come in, maybe where there is a gender-based violence issue. You don't know when to come in. You don't know when to call it a play. Now, another fear that I have is that things like that shouldn't play with such things. If you look at that very critically too, you will see that I made mention of ethics. Communicators are meant to communicate values, so but a situation where you cook up some cock and bulls and you bring it to the public space for consumption, those who trust you have already consumed this and laid their judgments or their comments and everything because they trust you. Then at the end of the day, we say it is a skit and we don't know where to draw the line, whether it is a skit or not. So ethics is being trampled upon.
Mm. So
Ethic
you
is being,
mentioned, sure,
yeah,
sure. I completely understand. Ethically speaking, I don't think ethics is being put on the table when considering what is going to create a buzz. Now,
yeah,
you defined publishing here, or rather, you defined communication and art
yeah,
industries content. You define content
yes,
as
yeah,
all information and experiences, such as writing, speech, and other various areas,
yes.
uh, expressed through a medium to communicate value to the end user. Value is the
Value.
term.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to the end user, so right now, the end user is the consumer, I believe, person consuming this information. A lot of these skits are essentially comical,
Yeah.
make people laugh. And I did compare it to what's happening in Nollywood previously, and I think back to when we used to see actors, try and poison the stew, and then they would not taste the stew that they tried to poison, and then put a thumbs up, like, it's the stew is still sweet, even though they've put poison inside for someone else, and they've tasted it, and we understood that it was all for entertainment value. It was content being created because it was considered valuable to the end user. So once again, I'll ask now, where do we draw the line? Because in the end, this is a source of livelihood for these content creators, young people who probably don't have degrees. I'm saying probably, just it's just an assumption, are now able to fend for themselves based on this content that's being created. What are your thoughts?
Okay, my thought is this. There is nothing wrong about being a content creator. There's nothing wrong about monetization in itself, but where you are doing things in the areas where you are not skilled, the
Mm,
first thing,
okay.
especially for gain, because the likes
Okay.
and comments of these end users cumulatively translates the money you are earning, you know. So I think, and again, like I said, they call themselves entrepreneurs. An entrepreneur is a skilled individual, first and foremost.
Okay.
So there, like I said, there is nothing bad about being a content creator, but get skilled. Get skilled.
Mm,
Then learn ethics. Learn the rules of the game. Because in the long run, whatever these content creators are putting out there is all of them put together are talking indirectly about your entire country and your entire people. So it's going to
okay.
have a ripple effect. If the content creator, but it's going to the general populace of that person, that particular place where that stage, well, where their content was staged. For instance, these people at the airport tearing the passport, an entrepreneur should a skilled should know it is felony to tear a international passport. That is to say that it's like standing at
Mm,
the airport there and taking the flag of the country and you use it to mop up ground. That's what it means. So, but because of lack of, and another word I would like is impunity. I see a lot of impunity play.
okay, I think I've lost your sound there. I'm not sure why. Can you still hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
So
Go ahead.
I yeah, so I was talking about the tearing the passport.
Yes, you mentioned impunity.
It's
That was the last thing.
in fact yeah. So I want to bring in that word. I see a lot of impunity in the content, and they just throw it at people. Consumers have to take it. A lot of people got heart attack from. Then there will be so many versions of this content that everybody is thrown into confusion. So isn't content value? Are they getting value?
Mm. So there was something you said earlier on today.
Or if we are, what kind of value are we getting? Content, when we bring up something outside, situations where you selling things and today it is a skit, tomorrow no, it is real. I think
Mm.
there's a big problem that we need to solve there.
So there was something you mentioned earlier on. You talked about something, creating content around something you are skilled at. So, for instance, what you are saying is now a doctor can create content based on their specialty. Maybe a heart surgeon can create content around heart surgery because you believe that person, that individual is skilled in that field and has every right to express the knowledge or share the knowledge that they have gained, maybe through their education or based on business experience or practice experience online, and create content and monetize that. Where you essentially are drawing the line is when people who are unskilled in certain fields create that content and maybe act like doctors or act like. So, for instance, now off the top of my head, a very funny skit could be a nurse, a very mean nurse. A lot of people have come across mean matrons in hospitals before that want to give patients injections, for instance, and she's just violently holding the syringe and just punches it in, you know. But she's wearing a nurse's outfit, and it's funny, it's comical to people because it's leveraging on that nostalgic experience of the first time you received an injection. And it's going to get a lot of views. But you are saying that because the character has no experience in the medical field, in nursing, they should not be touching that kind of content.
And they should first get skilled. Okay, for instance, when they are posting contents, they have like YouTube rules exist here. Facebook, they have
Mm-hmm.
rules. You must not say this. They will heed to this book or YouTube. Then they should try as much as possible to know or to find out, to research ethic, bind the ethical, you know, how do I put it now? That particular every business where in communication you break the rules, you break the feed our souls as we communicate. Then what are you feeding them with? Are you feeding them to die faster, or are you feeding them to live longer? For instance, look at that time we have a lot of farms in Nigeria. Then they created this a night of Africa, a night lab. That time these guys that started it. They were not born comedians. they fashioned was going on, or it is relatable.
that
Everybody
time.
can relate. Now, because they did it, many people started studying them and now have many more. I'm not hearing you, please.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I lost you
With
for a
media,
few seconds.
they have to
I lost.
understudy lessons to know what to bring to the table and to touch. If you are
I
hearing me, I'm
want to
not
touch.
hearing
I want to
your
touch
voice.
briefly. I want to touch briefly on what you foresee the future being in terms of regulation, for instance. Any government policies you see coming to bear right now, and of course, if, for instance, we don't take care, what are the things that could happen to our units of society, family, etc., etc., should we not take heed to some of your advice in your article?
Hmm. You see, these things, this kind of mindset makes it look like sometimes God is overbearing, you know. It makes it look like that. But if you had say generation and millennial have to come in. If you look at in power right now, be rules in trying to make money. You don't just take out toxins out there because they are going to say it is from Nigeria. So they are kind of forcing government to place stringent policies. And we will now start saying, oh, they are asking content creators not to speak, not to talk. You see, in this case, I believe that government doesn't have to caution anybody. People have to caution themselves by researching to know about the topic or about the business they have decided to go into, know what surrounds it, and bring it out clear. After all, we are seeing contents from all over the world, and especially from other African countries. And believe it or not, whatever comes from Nigeria, many other African countries are taking lead. So why don't we make things that are, that are good for human consumption? Make a skit when it is skit, and make it known that this is a skit, and not bring deceit to the table. And a lot of people would have fainted or gotten hypertension before they know it's a skit. It is wrong. It is deceit.
So there are, of course, when it comes to journalism, from a journalist standpoint now, there are, of course, a lot of ethics and rules to journalism that have been broken, in fact, shattered and battered by social media, which even some media outlets have sort of eventually decided to, maybe erase that line between the ethics of journalism just to remain relevant. But there is a certain responsibility that comes with having a microphone, having a voice, having a level of influence. And we were always trained that the microphone can start and end wars. The
Mm,
likes of Sonny Rabo, who is one of my mentors when I was on
mm,
radio, used to talk about the impact the microphone
mm,
has. And right now, microphones have become our cell phones. And anyone with a certain amount of data could cause an uproar that they have no idea uh, is going to turn to something else.
mm,
Let's put a God forbid in there somewhere. But I have to appreciate you for talking to us about your article today. The article title, for those who are looking for it, is Monetization Mindset, Social Media, Content Creators, and Relationships. And it is in Business AM. And that's where I got the article from. And of course, the author is here with us today talking about Lilian Chudey Pride. And she's been talking with us. But she also has something else that she's been working on for a long time. Before we wrap up, let me just share this website. That's I Write Africa. As quickly as possible, ma'am, please share with us what iWriteAfrica.com is all about.
Thank you very much. But sorry, I just want have this one say about the monetization. Didn't touch on the mental of both the creators and consumers, because I am what I call a technology epidemic that will soon erupt like a volcano. Yeah, because even WHO has recognized a disease, gaming disease, So it's where everybody is online, consuming every line of their mental health, their consumers. Why am I coming this way? You are
Wow, the internet is.
creating and you are running helter skelter to create, to dish out there, and you are as and your I want to see how that can help me. So all of us seeking solution where people would go to the seeking, so we have become doctors to ourselves because we are now living in what I call a how to do world. So they should be we should be very, very aware of our mental health as a creator and the mental consumers. Because if drop dead, we have nothing to give to our consumers. If our consumers drop dead because of what we are feeding them, have any conversion anywhere again. So these are things that we to look at. I just said to quickly look at that before I talk about I Write Africa.
Please, please go ahead.
So coming back to I Write Africa, I love Africa much, and I yeah, I started traveling Africa when I was 19. To good things I sell in school, so like shoes and bags and clothes, vintage, and that was when I began traveling Africa. And in the 90s, early 90s, 1995, 94, we lived in Ghana for 4 years. We've lived in Abidjan for a year. We've lived in Togo, and I've been to Douala, and now I've been to Johannesburg a number of times, Africa, and I now live in Namibia. So I see a lot in all of these places that I've been to, but relate it to what we normally do back home in Nigeria when any little thing say. So having been to all of these places, and especially from the grassroots, I got to know a lot of different parts of Africa that really doesn't say Africa is the same thing. A lot of culture shift.
Okay, it does seem like the internet is a little glitchy and giving us a bit of a delay. But I have to say a big thank you to you for joining us today,
And
talking about
shots.
the amazing
This is how
Lilian
Africa
Chudey.
came about.
Okay.
Who will be able
I'm not sure.
to
Okay, all right. The internet is really, really a little rough today, but I have to say thank you to you once again for joining us on the show today. Honestly speaking, we've been able to cover quite a bit in such a short period, and we know that the comment section is going to come alive after this is done from whatever platform you are watching or listening to us from. My name is Titilayo Oniso, and this is One on One. Today's topic has been social media content creators and the monetization mindset. And we've had with us Lilian Chudey Pride. She wrote this really interesting article that we focused on today. And yeah, we've touched on quite a few things. iWriteAfrica.com. Please visit the website and learn as much as you can from it. Because it is written with love, it is written with passion, and it has quite a lot of different aspects to it. Are you back now? Can you hear me loud and clear now? Can you
I'm
hear me
hearing
loud
you
and
now,
clear
yeah.
now? Okay, fantastic. I lost you for quite a while there. I
I can
apologize.
hear
Okay,
you.
I wanted to just touch on I Write Africa just a little and see how much information I could get regarding that from you. But we are pushing it on time at this point. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you hear me? Oh goodness me! Oh wow,
You are
that time delay. Oh,
breaking. Yeah, the line is
oh
breaking,
wow.
yeah.
Oh, it's just one of those days. I
It's
apologize for
breaking.
that. But thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'll be connecting with you on LinkedIn very, very soon. And of course, if you out there would like to be part of the show or have a conversation with me on one anytime soon, it's very simple. All you have to do is send us an email. That's Dynamite Podcast Network at gmail.com. That's Dynamite Podcast Network at gmail.com. We will get back to you. Thank you very much, Lilian Chudey Pride. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, then. Oh,
Thank
that's
you
it's always a
for
struggle.
putting me
It's
on your
always a struggle with the internet sometimes. But we've
hot
had a
seat.
great run
Thanks
today. We've had really
a
interesting
lot. You're
conversation.
doing well.
Now,
Thanks a lot.
one on one is where we bring you really inspiring conversations. We have leaders, we have change makers, we have visionaries from various industries talking to us on this particular podcast. And it's always a pleasure being your host. My name, once again, is Titilaya Oyin. So I have quite a few comments coming through. Bim Atta says, "Oh, this is quite educative." And ask kudos to the organizers. Thank you so much, Bim Atta, for that comment. The comment section is still open right there on YouTube. Just search for Dynamite Podcast Network, search for TT the Dynamite, and you will get to watch this over again. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Until